Good evening and welcome to the Friday edition of the Nevis newscast for August 6, 2010. I am Huey Sargent. In our top stories, Prime Minister Douglas praises Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Joseph Parry, and water projects near implementation stage. The details are straight ahead. Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Joseph Parry, has responded to criticisms by the opposition of his government's proposed outsourcing of the Nevis Financial Services Registry.
We haven't started any business with Utico. The truth is, though, that I have, with Mr. Lawrence, with Patrice Nisbet and Ms. Maloney, have serious discussions towards setting up a relationship with a company by the name of Utico, which I outlined, who are going to be operated, who would have been operated out of Washington. The company is supposed to upgrade and modernize the registry, spending some $5 to $10 million US. That is why we didn't have the money to do it ourselves. And so they have to use their own money. And this is why we made the arrangement to pay from the Treasury sums of money for 4 years until we pay off for the work that they would have done to modernize the industry. That is what that song and dance is all about. That we don't have the money to modernize the industry. Morningstar claims that they wanted to modernize it, but the government didn't have any money, Mr. Lawrence told me, and nothing was done. I am trying to do something. That is what I'm trying to do. Utico don't own anything. Utico is to try to set up, to modernize the registry here, to set up possible sub-registries in China and India, and maybe to have a marketing relationship with the government, including all the providers, so that we can increase the number of companies on the island of Nevis. It is simply that. People see the document, they hear about Utico, they don't read the document, they don't ask anybody to explain the document, they're just talking Utico, 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 as if somebody in government head is no good or somebody's crazy. I mean, that is not the case. So, what is Utico? Who is Utico? What do they hope to achieve? Those are the questions that should be asked. They are trying to assist the government to increase the industry, to bring more revenue to the treasuries of the government. Part of the effort to diversify the economy, part of the effort to create growth so we can pay off this big debt that we have to pay. That is all that it is about. Some people don't have any upbringing, and that's why they behave the way they behave. My daughter, I can swear, has upbringing and conducts herself in a particular way. And if you go into the registry, you'll see the company Utico was not formed by her. It was formed by the office of Gonzales. It was not formed by her. She doesn't work for herself. She don't get money in her hands. It was not for, she was in the United States of America. It was not formed by her. She was asked to be the sole director until the people got aliens landholding license. That is a common practice in Nevis. Everybody knows that. But all of a sudden, it is a problem. All of a sudden, it's a problem, and people are talking about it. The truth is, she has nothing to do with the company. She works in an office. And if Utico decides to do business with Gonzales, Sonia Parry will still be paid, basically, by Gonzales, not by Utico, because she doesn't work for herself. I am amazed how somebody didn't understand that. And how somebody didn't ask that question and stop the foolishness that was going on. You could have so easily stopped it. And talking about making comparisons with other persons. You know, we as a people are intelligent and educated, and we must demonstrate that at every turn. Because people can be destroyed in this country because certain forces have bought them, or because of political opportunism.
Premier Parry, who is also Minister of Finance, was addressing members of the Nevis Chamber of Commerce and financial service providers at the Nevis Red Cross Center on Thursday. Premier Parry has come in for high praise from St. Kitts and the Nevis Prime Minister, Honorable Dr. Denzil Douglas, for what has been described as his yeoman service in ensuring the reopening of the Four Seasons Resort on Nevis.
I want to thank personally Premier Joseph Parry and the members of the Nevis Island administration for working beyond, I believe, the call of duty to ensure that the Four Seasons is about to be reopened and about to make a significant impact on the continuing improvement in the quality of life of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. I believe that Premier Parry has done exceptionally well to ensure that this particular project has reached to the point where we can say eventually Four Seasons would be reopened.
That's St. Kitts and Nevis Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Denzil Douglas, who at the time was speaking at Thursday's groundbreaking ceremony to start construction of the Christophe Harbour development on St. Kitts Southeast Peninsula. The Four Seasons Resort was closed following the devastation by Hurricane Omar and is scheduled to be reopened on December 15th. With the recent $30 million approval from the Caribbean Development Bank CDB for water development projects across Nevis, Minister of Communications, Works, Public Utilities, Natural Resources, and the Environment, the Honorable Carlisle Powell, says the project is moving ahead on schedule.
This project is very much on schedule. We know it was approved by the Caribbean Development Bank Board back in March, and anybody who has dealt with the Caribbean Development Bank knows that it takes some time. So we are quite happy that this has moved forward very quickly. Permanent Secretary Ernie Stapleton and I actually traveled to Barbados to sit down with officials of the Caribbean Development Bank to look at various issues, including this project. We have been working with Burnside, which is a company out of Canada who did some work on the project as well. We're at the stage where we have now gone region-wide to look for a project manager, and we have had some applications coming out of one of our Caribbean sister island states. And so it is the Nevis Water Department now who will sit down, do the evaluation, and who will decide on who is the person who will be the project manager for us. Fortunately, we have the experience of Mr. Brian Kennedy, our water development engineer, who we brought back to work with us. And so Mr. Kennedy will be playing a very important and integral role in the development of the new water system.
Minister Powell also disclosed other successful negotiations for water development.
We have successfully negotiated with the Taiwanese, and they have agreed that they will fund a well down in the Indian Castle area, and that well will provide irrigation water to a project, an agricultural project, which they want to do in that area. We are hopeful that we'll be getting more water than we will need in the irrigation farm. At the same time, we are doing some work down close to the site of the Amman, where we will be putting in a trench well. We know that there is a trench well down at Pinnies, and that trench well supplies all of the water for the golf courses down at Four Seasons. So we are looking at developing a trench well down at Indian Castle that will be able to use water from that trench well to provide irrigation for the Amman Resort as well. So we are planning ahead.
He said wells will be developed at the New River and Hamilton for potable water to be put into the system for residents of Charlestown.
We have done a tremendous amount of work, but there is still a lot of work to be done. And George Morris and his team, we continue to give them the support as they continue to move Nevis forward with water. Culturama has just been, and we didn't hear one complaint from persons who did not have water. And this says a lot as to where the water system in Nevis has come from to where it is now.
That's Minister of Communications, Works, Public Utilities and Posts, the Honorable Carlisle Powell. The results for the Cultural Street Parade held last Tuesday are in. The Delta Petroleum-sponsored parade was judged in 4 categories, namely Junior Fantasy, Adult Fantasy, Folklore, Old Mass, and Schools categories. In the Junior Fantasy category, first, Rainbow Girls Reunited, second, Culturama with Flavors, and second as well, Cultural Links. Adult Fantasy category, Eyes Don't Lie, second, Justice League, and third, Fun Makers. In the Folklore category, Combined Masquerades were the winners, second, Homeboys Masquerades, and third, Combined Schools Masquerades. In the Old Mass category, Daddy Hog was the winner with 293 points. Second, Out with the Old and In with the New, 82 points. And third, Dress Up and Come. In the schools category, Joycelyn Liebert Primary was the first. Second, Ivor Walters Primary. And third, St. Thomas Primary School. The Island's premier festival was held under the slogan Culturama 2010, a unique cultural blend. This year's patron was Mr. Eugene Pemberton of Cox Village. And that's how we end the Nevis newscast for today. I'm Huey Sargent. Thanks for viewing. Good night.